Hi folks, book all time. So these were bought in various places at various times over the last 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to forget where exactly as we go, I expect. So I found these two. I think they were in the Oxfam bookshop in St Albans when I was there a couple of weeks ago. So books 2 and 3 of the Witcher series. It was a sort of reissued as a tie-in to the Netflix show. I have the preceding couple of short story collections and books 1 and 4. So I now have books 1, 2, 3 and 4 plus the short stories. I think there are 2 or 3 more. Never read them. I did watch the first couple of the seasons of the TV show and quite enjoyed it. And there's a pretty random selection of stuff now, so stick with me. So there's Escapology by Ren Warren, which is an author I've never heard of, but I quite like the look of the book. So I think it's like a cyberpunk thing. Shock Power is not just any haunt, he's the best. There isn't a system that he can't crack into, nothing he can't steal for the right price. Outside the virtual world of the slip though, he's a fail. No degree, no job, no affiliations to protect him from angry ex-customers, of which he has a few. So when his ex brings Shock a job he accepts, little realising that it will turn out to be his most impossible, illegal and insane assignment yet. So this sounds like a sort of immersive world, cyberpunk type thing. So a deeply immersive and thrilling trip into a terrifying future. I love this book, says Emma Newman, she of Planetfall fame, and there's a couple of other endorsements on the back from other authors. So this is a debut novel, and it was published in 2016. And then we've got Paul Macaulay in The Month of the Whale. So having never heard of him or never seen anything by him, I'm sort of falling over his novels now. They seem to be popping up all over the place. I have a few. I've just finished one actually, Beyond the Burn Line, which I quite enjoyed. So he has his fans, some of whom press me into reading his books on this channel. Whenever I see them now, I pick them up. So Paul Macaulay, in the mouth of the whale. In the system of Fomalhaut, a war is being fought. The Quicks came long ago, refugees from the solar system. The True arrived later to find a declining civilization and a system ripe for the taking. Then the Ghosts appeared, no longer human, unknowable, powerful and determined to drive out the Quick and the True. So this looks like a transhuman versus the regular human types versus somebody else. I don't know who the ghosts are. Sort of factional war. And I'm not sure if it's... I think it's a singleton. I don't think it's part of a series, but it might be. It might be. It might be the third book of 3. I'm not sure because they're grouped separately. And it has got Gardens of the Sun on the back, so I'm wondering which, could be just another sort of cross-marketing for one of his other books, or it could be strongly implying that it's part of a series. It doesn't say, or say directly, it doesn't say book 3 of, or anything like that. Then we've got Barricade, John Wallace. A road trip through the hell we built. The Officials, they were meant to be the answer to everything, engineered artificial life forms, designed to be smarter, tougher and built to last. But fear took over. Man turned on the officials and everything went to hell. A war ripped the world apart. So it sounds like sort of shades of Blade Runner, only with more of them. Barricade is a nightmare vision of a squandered future, and the edge of the seat, pedal to the metal road trip in search of where it all went wrong. So John Wallace, who wrote this, is apparently a Brit. I've not heard of him. Published in 2015. Randomly, a couple of more vintage books. So New Worlds 4, so Michael Moorcock edited anthology. Pretty good condition, a bit chipped and creased on the spine, but not too bad. So that's got Keith Roberts, Thomas Dish, John Sladek, Barrington Bailey, M. John Harrison, a few other people. So this is the 4th edition of Britain's best science fiction magazine, contains stories by. So New Worlds was a SF magazine. Then we've got a Brian Stableford, looks very space opera-y. The Days of Glory, published. It must be very early 70s, 25p, 1971, yeah. This book tells the story of the anger of Richard Stormwind and its consequences, but is more concerned with the vanity which prompted the anger and why the consequences were so important. 10 millennia has passed since the creation of the beasts, and those 10,000 years had obliterated the original purpose of Adam December and the construct surgeons. So, I don't know what that's about. Intriguing. And this book made me laugh. My wife spotted it and strongly suggested that I buy it, so who am I to argue? Biketopia. And apparently, so this is feminist bicycle science fiction. So that's quite a niche, isn't it? Feminist science fiction bike literature. So that's I imagine that's quite a small intersection set in that sort of 3-circle diagram. Feminist bicycle science fiction stories in extreme future. So you can add dystopia to that as well. So quite a small cross section. It's a collection it's an anthology of short stories. 12 writers tackle extreme utopias and dystopias and the grey areas in between. In Biketopia, the 4th volume of the Bikes in Space series of feminist science fiction stories about bicycling. Some find love and fierce resistance in the end times. Others channel solar punk ecotopian visions, ecotopian visions. And others imagining the communities that rise amid crushing social control. Whatever your own future and present reality, these stories will motivate and inspire you to envision something different and maybe even better, and presumably whilst you're on your bike. So I know what the fuck is going on with that. That's really weird. So feminist bicycling science fiction. I am intrigued. I got a copy of Midwich Cuckoos by John Wyndham. I do have one, but it's pretty ropey, so this will be to replace that. This one's not perfect either. It's a bit faded on the spine and what have you, but it's in better condition than the one that I have. And then to add 2 or 3 pan lozenges to my collection. I think, including these 3, I'm at 48 now, 47 out of 78, so I'm getting there, nowhere near complete. And the ones that are left are getting increasingly difficult to find. For reasonable money anyway. So this one is Starburst by Alfred Bester, which has got a pretty colourful cover. And then we've got A Planet Called Treason, Orson Scott Card. Again, lovely artwork. And then there's a Richard Cowper, Twilight of Briarus. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who knows? It's science fiction. I can pronounce it how I like. Again, nice cover. And then just to add one to my little collection of the 80s Methuen and Simak editions. I'm beginning to forget why I wanted all of them now, but I do. So I'm going to get them all. So this one was actually, it wasn't even on my list of them. So I'm finding that there are more than I thought there were. So there's over 30 of them to collect. I'm doing okay. I've got about a dozen, I think. So Highway of Eternity, this one's called. It's a little bit creased on the spine. I sort of played World of Books roulette and got a slightly creased one, but it's okay. And then I did a video recently, which I think was the audience recommends video. So 10 books that the viewers of this channel have recommended in the comments of my books, of my videos. So I was so intrigued by the notion of this book that I sought it out and found a copy. This is a bit bashed up, this copy, but it's Ash by Mary Gentle, which is enormous. It's a huge trade paperback. It's a little bit bent up, unfortunately, but it'd certainly be a good reading copy. A bit like the Carlsberg beer adverts. It says here that it's probably, important caveat, probably the biggest fantasy novel ever published in a single volume. Mary Gentle's magnificent tale on the gutsy and beautiful mercenary leader Ash will take you on an unforgettable ride through a medieval Europe as it never quite was. So this is written, the conceit in the story is that it's written from the perspective of a historian researching what he thought he knew of medieval Europe. It's billed as The Lost History of Burgundy by Piers Ratcliffe, PhD. So it's layers. So Mary Gentle's obviously actually writing it. Piers Ratcliffe is the fictional historian that's writing the account in the book, and that gets stranger and stranger as time goes on. But it's a sort of alternative history, but I don't know much more about it than that really. But it is over 1,000 pages, so it is pretty chunky. I imagine there have been bigger fantasy novels than this, but this is pretty big, and it's actually a bit of a strain to hold it up with one hand. Mary Gentle's Ash. I'm looking forward to tackling that at some point, perhaps when I'm on holiday for like a month or something. And then I mentioned in a haul video a little while back that I'd been on a bit of a spying spree in the US, and I wouldn't normally do that because the postage is normally ruinously expensive, but I knew that I had a colleague who is based in Connecticut, was going to be coming over to the UK for a week for work, and so I strong-armed her into acting as my book mule. So she gave me her address, and I ordered some books, which I'm now going to share with you. So my long quest to find a nice first edition of Eon by Greg Best, the UK first edition, which has got some beautiful artwork on it. It's really quite quirky. I had a couple of false starts with this. I bought what I thought were first edition hardbacks of this, and they turned out to be trade paperbacks with a completely different cover, and more for me, for I did it twice, and I ought to have learned my lesson by then. But anyway, this is really lovely. It's in really nice condition, basically as new. It's not faded particularly. Maybe there's a little bit of yellowing on the pages, but they're still pretty crisp. So this was published in 1980. Well, first edition was a Blue Jay in the US in '85. This was the first UK edition by Gollancz in 1986, and it's rather beautiful. I'm very pleased to have it. I also got Gregory Benford's Tides of Light, which is, I don't know what it is now, the fifth book in the Galactic Center series. It's come with a little bookmark, which is handy. And I wanted to get this in hardback. I'd really love to get the first two as well, but they're quite, well, more challenging to get hold of for sensible money. But this is, you know, in really nice condition. It's got some really annoying sticker revenue on the back, which I have tried but can't get rid of. I need some nail varnish remover or something. So I'm pleased to have that. I've been looking for that for a while. I've been looking to complete my collection of the John Varley Thunder and Lightning series, of which there are 4. So I got Rolling Thunder, which I had a copy of, and I, in my excitement to remove the sticker, I tore the cover, so I thought I'm going to have to get another one. So I did. It was only cost me a few dollars. But this has got a big sticker on the back as well. It's an ex-library book, and it's got a big sticker on it, and it's inside a you know, a wrapper. So I'll have to figure out how to take the wrapper off and try to remove that. Otherwise, I'll be in the same boat that I was in with the other one. So I don't want to have 2 ruined covers. Not ruined, damaged. And then I didn't have at all the 4th one, which is Dark Lightning. And again, this is an ex-library copy. It's got a sticker on it. I'll attempt to remove carefully if I can remove the wrapper. Or I may just not bother. And then last but not least, which I'm quite excited about, it's not a world first. I think the UK would have been the first edition, but it's an Ace edition of Revelation Space, which is pretty tricky to get in hardback in the UK. You can find them, but they're tens of pounds. This was, I think, about £12, including postage, which isn't bad. It's an Ace hardback, really nice condition. Basically, certainly I would say fine. I don't know if it's kind of as new, but it's not far off it. The paper's not faded, it's crisp. Very nice indeed. So those are quite exciting. Quite pleased to get those. It was a little bit of a splurge. It cost me more than I might normally spend on 6 books, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity of having them couriered for free across the Atlantic by a friend. So that's everything. As always, thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye for now.